Hello, this is Laura here at Blue Mushroom Studios, and we are doing a tutorial today on this lovely flower garland. I started this flower garland in a TikTok live, so we're a little ahead, and hopefully we'll be able to finish this up. I think currently it's about 1.5 feet long, so we might do a few more to make it a little longer and finish it up so that you guys can see it done. This will be a more slowed down tutorial than what we did in the TikTok live. So if you missed the TikTok live or you couldn't keep up, here's where you'll go to learn. We have a pattern here of flowers. So we have a flower by itself, a flower with a leaf, a mushroom, and then start it over again. Flower by itself, flower with a leaf, a mushroom. And so now we're on the mushroom. So we're going to be doing the mushroom first. Then we are going to be doing this flower. And then we're going to be doing this flower. And if you notice that these flowers are 2 different sizes. And we'll also be doing the leaf. So we're going to be doing 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 different pieces here for you guys to see. And then I'll also be showing you how we chain it all together and connect it to the garland. So let's get started. I'm working with several different brands of yarn here, so I'm not going to get into the brand of yarn, but I am using a 5mm hook. I'm using all worsted weight or medium weight yarn, size 4 yarn. And I've got several different colors here, so you just, pick and choose the colors that are best for you. But I've got a yellow for a center, a white for the leaves, green for the petals, green for the leaves, and then our mushroom cap here, I've got like a rust color and an off-white for the mushroom. So let's get started. You're also going to need a yarn hook and some scissors to cut your yarn with. Okay, first thing we're going to work on is the mushroom, because that's where we stopped in our pattern earlier. So this is where we're going to go next. We're going to do our mushroom first. So what we do is we create our slip knot, and we're going to create a circle. If you do a magic circle, you can do a magic circle, or you can do, I do a chain 4 circle. 1, 2, 3, 4. I just do 4 chains, and then I go back into the first chain here, and then I close with a slip stitch, okay? And chain up 1 to start my row. Now this first, because we're doing the mushroom, and the mushrooms are small, and they're in the round, they are, we're going to be working with kind of a small section here. So we're going to do 4 half double crochets into our circle. So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and there's 4. So that is going to make kind of a small circle. We're going to have to reach all the way over here and get our first stitch and close it up with a slip stitch, okay? That's going to close our circle here. Chain up 1 to do the next row. So this is our first row. It's 4 half doubles. Our second row we're going to increase as we go around. So we're going to increase every other stitch. So for this stitch, we're going to do 1 half double crochet in it. And the next is going to be an increase. So that means we're going to do 2 separate half double crochets in 1 stitch. So 1 half double crochet, and then another half double crochet right into the same stitch. And that's how you do your increases. The next one is going to be just 1 half double crochet into that one. And then the next one's going to get 2, because we're doing every other stitch. So 1, 2. You're going to want to make sure that these stitches are nice and loose, because working in a small round, things can get very tight very quickly. So here's our last stitch. We're just going to do 1 here. And then we're going to close our row, go into the first half double that you did with a slip stitch, chain up 1 to do in the next row. Now, And keep in mind that when you work in the round, your work goes inside out. So this is the start. You want to flip it inside out to check your progress, or right side out to check your progress and see how it's going. Close it back up, and we're going to do one more row. We're not going to increase. We're just going to do 1 for 1. So 1 half double into each half double of the previous row. Doesn't have to be perfect. If you miss a stitch, it's fine. All right, close off that row, and that's it. We're only doing 3. If you want a longer stem, you can, or a longer mushroom cap, you can keep going. You can really make that your own. And you can switch it up too. If you want them to all look different, you can switch it up. So we're gonna weave in this end to the top because we're gonna use these top 2 tails to tie on our stem. So don't cut them. Just take this one to the top. Take it up there, but don't pull it tight. It doesn't matter where it goes up there, because we're just going to use them to tie together the stem. So this is inside out. This is what it looks like right side out. Oh, that's the wrong. I pulled the wrong one. I need to pull this one. There we go. All right, that's what our top looks like. Our little mushroom cap. And now we're going to make the stem. So the idea here on your mushroom caps, and I have another video about mushroom garland where I make bigger caps. I wanted these particular ones to be smaller, so I started out with 4, and then I increased this row only every other stitch, and then I did stitch for stitch on this last row. If you want to make bigger ones, you start with more in the middle, and then you increase every other one, and then you can either keep, I like to only, when I'm making mushroom caps, I only increase this, this row, and then however big that gets, then I start to bell it down, and I only go 1 or 2, but that's just to like make a cap that's like, you know, this big. It's not terribly big. So there's our cap. Let's make our stem. Our stem is going to be 10, for this project, it's going to be 10 chains long. If you want it longer, go longer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you eyeball it and if you bring it to the top, because it's going to connect to the top. So anytime you're measuring your stem, make sure you hold it to, hold it on the cap to the top. Sorry, I didn't realize it was off the screen. Hold it to the top like that. And that's going to tell you how long it is. If you want it longer, you can go longer. These are 10, and this is what it ends up looking like. All right, so we are going to give this stem a shape, and we're going to do 3 rows back and forth. We're not working in the round here. We're going to do 3 rows, and then we're going to fold it in half and whip stitch down the side. That gives us our kind of a tube type shape to our work, if that makes sense. Okay, first we're going to slip stitch 1, I think it's the next 4 stitches. Yeah, it's 4 stitches. 3, 4. Okay. Then we are going to single crochet. We're just going to step up in size. 2 single crochets. And then the last 3 are going to be half doubles. All right, and then chain 1 to turn. That gives us a nice bell look to our work. It's going to widen out the end of our stem. So now we're going to go back in the same pattern that we had before. So 3 half doubles. 2 singles. and then 4 slip stitches. It gets kind of tricky down here at the end because these stitches go and face the other side. So you got to tilt your work and go back and get them. Find those stitches because they will be on the back side, those last 2. And slip stitch it. All right, chain 1 to turn, and we're going to do it one more time. Okay? Slip stitch 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Single crochet 2. 1, 2. Half double. 3 half doubles, and then we're done. Okay, so let's snip off our tail, but make sure you leave it long because we need to use it to whip stitch this closed. So long-ish, not too long. Pull that through, get it a little tight. So this is now going to be folded in half. So we're going to use our long tail that we made. Put it on our needle, and then hold it like this. Our foundation chain is going to be at the bottom. Remember that chain 10 we started with? It's going to be at the bottom. And then our last row of stitches are going to be at the top, okay? And remember, they're going to want to face to the back, so we're going to have to make sure we get all the way back there and pick them up, okay? So we're going to fold this in half, and we're going to start whip stitching, okay? So you're going to pick up that first chain, just the one side of it, and then you're going to pick up the other part of the stitch, okay? Or the stitch on the other side. And then you're just going to pull straight through. Go through the first chain, or the second chain, go through the second stitch, okay? So essentially, when you have it on your hook, you're going to want to make sure you have, it's 3 loops, 1, 2, 3. And you're just going to pull. You don't have to pull super tight. Just keep it nice and snug. And this is where you're going to really have to make sure you're going and picking up the right side. Pick up your stitch, and then this stitch wants to tilt to the back, so you got to make sure you push it forward and grab it with your needle. All right, there we go. Now we have this wonderful stem. You can weave this in. You don't really need these tails for anything else, so just weave them in and snip them off. Oops. Okay, now we're going to put our mushroom together, and then we're going to attach it to the garland. So we're going to take, I don't need my needle, we're going to take this cap and put it back inside out. Take one of the strands and take your crochet hook, and you're going to go through the top of the stem like this. Doesn't matter really where you go, just get in there. And pull one strand through. Bring it all the way to the top and just tie it in a knot. Just get it in there good. You don't have to cut these off super short. The cap's going to hide your strings. But just cut it off. Pull the cap over. Get it nice and adjusted. Sometimes you just really have to like get your thumb in there to squeeze it all together. And there's our mushroom. Okay, so I know you guys are probably like, how did you start your garland? Because I've already done that part and way ahead, so I'll just kind of pull back and walk you through it. This is just a series of chains. So I did 20 chains and then connected it back at the front chain. And that gave me a nice loop for my garland. Now I can just hang it on a hook or a, peg, something. And it's easier to kind of hang up. And then as I chain along, I'm attaching it, and I'll show you how to do the flowers here in a minute. So there's also 10 chains between each thing that I add. So once I add something, I chain 10 and give it some separation. So I put this flower on last. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's a new skein and the center is still really tight, so it's not pulling very easily. Okay, now here's a tricky bit to teach you how to attach this mushroom. I don't like grabbing stitches from the top of the mushroom, because if this gets tugged at all, it's going to start pulling these stitches out, and eventually it might just be hanging there, and it's not going to keep it close to the vine. So this is how I attach them to make sure it stays really close and it doesn't have much room to pull. So I'm going to take my hook into my center. You'll just find the center here and just pop your hook right in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a stitch from my stem. It doesn't matter where, just grab a stitch, okay? Make sure your hook is kind of facing like this, because you're going to pull this stitch just to the top of your mushroom cap like this, okay? You're not going to pull it all the way through. You're just going to get it to the other side, so it's like this. Then you're going to slip stitch. Make sure before you start your slip stitch that this is up there really nice and close. And you're going to pull it through that one, and then you're going to pull it through the green. Just like that. And then you're going to do your 10 more to get to the next section. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there we go. Now the garland sits really nice on top of the, and it's not going to pull because it's inside there, and the cap stops this from coming through. This is really too wide to even go through that hole. So you just have a nice connection there. Nice, neat little attachment. All right, so we did our 10. We're going to set this aside, take your hook out, give yourself some room so you don't pull that out later if you accidentally snug on it. Excuse me while I have some coffee. And then let's make a flower. So our flower, we have 2 different sizes. So our next one in line is this smaller flower. So we're going to start with our center color. And once again, we're going to start with a circle. I do a chain 4 circle. If you want to do a magic circle, you're more than welcome. So 1, 2, 3, 4 chains, start in the center. Start in the center. Connect back at the first stitch. Sometimes my brain just be talking. It doesn't, it just starts talking. And then slip stitch that closed. Then you have this little center circle here that you can work in. Chain up 1 to start your row. Now I do 10 half doubles in this circle. So if you did a magic circle, you're going to do 10 half doubles into whatever circle you created. 10 half doubles. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, connect that first square. 10 is very important because we've got 5 petals, and so we have to have 10 stitches to work into. So you're going to cut that off, pull it, and you can go ahead and weave that in now, or you can weave it in later. I'm going to weave it in later because I use mine to really snug up my petals. I use my tails and to go around and really pull them all tight so they don't have holes. So now I'm going to use my petal color. So I'm going to grab my white. And I'm going to do my petals. All right, so go in any stitch. You can just pick a stitch. I don't like to go in here because this is all a mess anyway. I like to go in on a nice clean side. So just pick one and go in with a slip stitch. Okay? And then in the next one, we're going to do 3 half doubles. Okay? One. I'm sorry. Start it over. We're going to do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. 3 double crochets. Sorry, I said half doubles in the beginning. They are double crochets. We're going to do 3 double crochets and then do them in the same stitch. Don't keep moving down stitches. Do those 3 in the same stitch. Then do a slip stitch in the next stitch. Okay? That's going to give you a nice little petal. If you want a bigger petal, put more doubles in there. The more you put in there, the more kind of fuller your petal is going to be. But I have a small one because I want a small one. I do a bigger one later, but I do it a little differently, so stay tuned for that one. Okay, so I did my slip stitch in that one. Now we're going to do 3 double crochets in the next. Slip stitch in the next. 3 double crochets. And just so you know, whoops, I am working in both loops. So 3 doubles, slip stitch. This doesn't look like it, but this is a stitch right here. That's my join for my last row. It's not pretty. I don't join very pretty. One of these days I might take the time to learn how to do really beautiful joins. But for now, this is what you're getting. Okay. Now slip stitch in the next stitch. And this is our last petal, so this is our last stitch. We're going to do 3 double crochets. Sorry, my throat is itching and I'm going to want to start coughing here soon, so I need to keep drinking my coffee. Okay. And then our last slip stitch is going to go into the first stitch where we did our first slip stitch. You're just going to go in there, do a slip stitch, and then cut off your yarn. Okay, and pull it through. I do not edit my videos, so if I start coughing, I'm sorry, but I don't edit them. I'm going to do my best not to. I may have to edit this one, though, because it's coming on. I keep trying to drink it off, and it's not. Give me just a second. Okay, sorry about that. I think I recovered. That was rough. All right, we're going to keep putting our tail in. And this tail is going to go all the way around, and as you're weaving it in, you're going to go behind the stitches for your petals. That way, see how at first you can see holes in it, right? You can see the stretch of the stitch when you put your stuff in it. So when you do it this way, it's going to cinch up. And it's going to close those holes. It's going to bring all the petals together and give it a nice snug look. We were talking in the live about how initially I was like, oh, we're making daisies. And then somebody said, add strawberries. And then I realized these look just like strawberry blooms. And they would be so cute with strawberries. Maybe I'll do a separate strawberry tutorial. But I'm not prepared to do that just yet. Okay. I've gotten that in. It's snug. I need to do the next one. So I'm going to cut this off. And tie in Toshi. Better stop it. Alrighty. Oop. Alright, we're just going to take this all the way around. See how, oop, that closed it up nicely. So just stretch it around and then cut it off. And it's just going to cinch up the centers really well. Okay, now we got 2 more to do. Sorry, I'm weaving these in. I don't usually weave in on my tutorials because I feel like it just sucks the time out of things. But for the sake of this particular project, we are going to weave in. All right, now let me show you how to attach the flower. The flower is attached a little differently than the mushroom, of course. So you're gonna go to the back and you're just gonna find any of these stitches that are going around. See all these stitches going around? You're just gonna find any of them and slip stitch your green into it, okay? Then you're gonna chain 2 and then you're gonna go across and grab a stitch from the other side. Okay. Ta-da! And then you're gonna chain 10. That's it. Easy peasy. I didn't count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My yarn's not pulling. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Now we're going to be doing, so that was the mushroom and then that was the flower. Now we're going to do the leaf and the flower, the bigger flower. Okay. So we're going to pull that through just a little bit, set it to the side, and take our green. Now I'm working in the same skein as my garland, so I'm having to use from the other end of my skein. This end is the one that's wrapped around the outside. So I'm going to pull a little out here so that we don't have to mess with pulling it out. All right, so our leaf is worked in back and forth rows, and I'm going to show you how to create this wonderful shape. Essentially is we're working with a chain of 8, and then we're going to work up one side of the chain and then work down the other side of the chain. And these are all slip stitches, and then we did a single, a half double, and then 2 doubles, and then chain 2 to get to the center. And then we chain 2, we did 4 doubles, a half double, a single, and 2 chains. I'm sorry, 2 slip stitches. So here we go. We're going to start out with 8 chains. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 chains. Okay. Now we're going to do 3 slip stitches. 1, 2, 3. It's essentially a combination of 6 stitches or 7 stitches because the 8th is the turn stitch. And so then we're going to do a single crochet, a half double crochet, and 2 doubles. Just like that. Now to get to the center, we're going to do 2 chains and slip stitch back in that very first chain that we started with. And that's going to give you a nice edge on your leaf. Now to start the other side, we're going to chain 2. We're going to do it a little differently, a little different pattern of stitches, because I want more of a broad side on this side. I don't want them to be both. I don't want it to be super pointed at the bottom. So we're going to do 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to do a half double. a single, a slip stitch. Now that would normally be the end of the row, but I don't like how this isn't a pointed leaf, it's kind of a blunt end. So this original turn stitch, this was our 8th chain of the beginning chain. We're going to go in there with the slip stitch as well. So just going to pull all the way through, and that's going to really point off our leaf very nicely. So we're going to cut this tail off and then give it one more pull through, and that gives us a really nice pointed leaf. And then we're going to weave in this end. I have a whole tutorial on making an ivy plant on my YouTube using this pattern. So if you want to make a whole ivy plant, and it talks about stringing them all together, it's available. So I'm going to keep going up. Just tie that in. Okay. Snip it off and then weave in the other end. And then I'll show you how to attach it to the garland, and then we'll do our bigger leaf, our bigger flower. And we'll attach it and then we'll be done. All right. So grab your chain that you were working on. Now, whenever I attach leaves to vines, I like to attach them a little on the back so that it sits nicely on top of the string. I don't like to attach it on the top because then it dangles. Just doesn't, to me, it doesn't look right, but you can attach it however you want to attach. But the way that I do it is, if you look at the leaf, you're going to see 2 pieces of yarn. You're going to see one right here. I use my needle because that one kind of hides. It's this one right here and this one. They kind of make a V shape, right? So those are the 2 that I'm going to attach to. I'm going to put my hook in there. I'm going to put it in the next one, and then I'm going to slip stitch it. Okay? Now I'm not going to chain up because this is where I want to attach this next one. I want to attach them together. So we're just going to take my hook out, make that a little bigger so it don't fall out. And we're going to make another flower. So the inside of this flower is the exact same as the small one. We're just doing 10 half double crochets inside of a circle. You can use a magic circle. I'm going to use my chain 4 circle. So chain 4, go back in, close with a slip stitch. And now I have a circle. I'm going to chain up 1 to start my row, and half doubles. I need 10 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I'm going to close off by going into the top of my first half double crochet. This is not my half double, that's my chain up. Don't go into that one. I think a lot of people mess up their rounds because they go into that chain up. Don't go into that chain up, just pretend it's not there. Go into the very first stitch of your half double and slip stitch. Now we're not going to chain up, we're done with this yellow. So we're just going to pull it all the way through. Pull this tight. I like to work this to the back. I like to slip it back in there. There we go. Okay, so we have 10 stitches. Now we're going to do our petal. This petal is different. It's going to be for our bigger flower. And the leaves are a little bit more pointy. So start with your slip knot. Now, you're going to slip stitch into any of these stitches. It doesn't matter where. I don't like to start where I joined or where I closed. I just like to start over here and slip stitch. You don't want too big of a stitch there. You want your bigger stitches in your petals so you can really have that defined separation of petals. So just a slip stitch. Then we're going to do 2 double crochets, okay? 2 double crochets, and then chain 1, and then 2 more double crochets, and then slip stitch into the next stitch, okay? This gives you a little more pointed petal, and it's a little bigger and fuller than the ones that we made before. So 2 double crochets, chain 1, and then 2 more double crochets. That's going to give you a nice full leaf, and then you're going to slip stitch into the next one. All of those double crochets are going into the same stitch. You're not stitching along your center circle. Chain 1, 2 double crochets, and then slip stitch into the next stitch. This is technically 1 stitch here where our join is. It looks like 1, it looks like 2, but it's really 1 because I just wrapped that through. So we're going to go into this bigger part of the stitch. So we're going to do 2 double crochets, chain, 2 double crochets, and then slip stitch into the next one. All right. Now we're going to do 2 double crochets, chain, and 2 double crochets. And then we're going to slip stitch back into the first one that we slip stitched in. That was our beginning. See that first slip stitch there? You can pull that tight and make it smaller. And then so you're just going to slip stitch in there as well. And then pull out, and then that gives you a nice little close there. As we weave these in, we're going to tug it and see, remember how I said we have all these spaces here, and we want it to not look like it has spaces. If you like your spaces, that's fine. Keep it, I don't care. If this is my preference, you have your preferences. So if you want to keep oh, I was like, did I miss a stitch? That's my pull through stitch. Okay. So we're going to weave in our ends, and that's going to help us clean up some loose spots like what I just saw here. So I like to, on this one that I pulled through, see how it's kind of creating, it looks like an extra stitch there. So I like to pull it tight and then just take it back the other direction. So we're going to tighten up our center circle by our tails that we weave in. As you keep going, you're just going to keep pulling snug. That's going to close up your little center some more. And then we can cut that off. And then when you tuck in your white ones, you're going to take those behind the leaves. Sorry, I can't pick up these needles with my nails. All right, here we go. You're going to go in behind the petals, go through those stitches that make the petal, and you're going to pull just a little snug. And it's really going to bring your petals together, clean up those empty spaces. You're going to take it most of the way around, but you've got 2 of these tails, so you can take one in one direction and one in the other direction. See how they're snugging up a little? Not pulling super tight. I don't want to like choke it, but I just want them all to be a little snug and closed. I don't like the spaces. All right, now if you want to give it a little back stitch so that it holds and doesn't, I don't think it'll slip out anyway, but if you worry about that sort of thing, then just go backwards a little. All right, now let's finish up. See how that's much more snug and closed? All right, and so this is going to be the last piece of the tutorial, and then I'm going to show you how to close off your garland. Close it off much the same way as you started it, and I know you guys didn't see the start, but we walked through it because it's so simple. It's just a crochet chain. There's no fancy stitches. It's just super easy. Okay, tuck all that in, snip it out. All right, now we're going to attach this one where the leaf is. Same way we attached our other flower. You're going to go to the back and you're going to find you a stitch. And you're going to slip stitch into it. Chain 2. And find another stitch. There you go. Now I'm going to close off my loop. So I'm going to chain 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And then you're going to take it back to that first one. And you're going to slip stitch it. And then I pull it through one more time just to make a good little knot there. And then you can weave this in to the back of the flower. Is probably the best place to hide these. I think that's why I do flowers at the end, because it hides it better in the yellow part. So just kind of take it back through the chain to tug it in, and then take it back through and just kind of hide it in the flower. I think I just kind of realized that I probably, because I started it off, I probably would have done one more small flower without the leaf on my chain, just to make it look symmetrical. But for the sake of this video, I just wanted to keep it short. I just wanted to show one of each. I should have, because see how I started it on one, I should have ended it on that as well. But technically, that's not consistent with the pattern, is it? Anyway, I'm gonna have to cough again in just a second. All right, I'll have to stitch those 3 clips together. Usually I like to make it all in one tutorial, but there we go. That is our garland, and I will probably hang this one up. I'm gonna do a video on TikTok about it, but I will probably hang this one up in my daughter's bathroom because it's nice and bright there, and they can lay flat against the blinds at the top. So I'll do a picture of that on my Instagram. Please make sure you go follow my Instagram and my TikTok. If you have any questions about this tutorial, you can definitely ask me in the comments. I'm happy to answer any questions. I try to do all of my TikTok lives on Saturday or Sunday mornings, bright and early. Sometimes I'll throw in a Friday night. Depends on my schedule. But yeah, check out my TikTok and my Instagram, because that's where I put all of my updates for new tutorials. Or you can subscribe and let YouTube notify you. But I appreciate you joining me today. If you were in my live, thanks for joining my live earlier. And I can't wait to see what you make. I love to be tagged in what you make. You don't have to tag me for credit. Just throw a tag in the comments. I don't care about credit. It doesn't matter. I want you guys to make these and make it your own even. And we all do things a little different. We're all going to adjust it. I don't need credit. It's not what I'm here for. I'm here to teach you how to crochet. But I do like to see your work. So just throw me a tag in the comments, and so I can see it. I just want to see how you guys are moving along. All right. I'll see you guys later. Let me know if there's any other tutorials that you'd like to see. Throw a suggestion in the comments. And if you guys want to see a new tutorial, I will try to get one up. I'm not going to do any tutorials during the week. I'm going on vacation tomorrow, so see you guys later.